All right, welcome to another episode of Keto Rocks Radio. Happy New Year to you all. This is 2021 and good riddance to 2020. What do you say about 2020, Brian?
Well, it's just a number. I mean, a lot of weird stuff happened this past year, but I don't blame it on the year.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Actually, I mean, truthfully, for speaking for myself, 2020 wasn't that bad of a year, but I know a lot of people who had a lot of losses this year. So I had a lot of friends who experienced losses this year. But in regards to our life and my life, it's actually been a not a bad year.
Yeah, there's been plenty of positives to outweigh some of the negatives. But yeah, it's impacted a lot of people.
It sure has. So, one of the things that people typically do at the end of a year and the beginning of a new year is they make New Year resolutions. And so we're not going to ask you to make a New Year's resolution, but we are going to discuss about and have you thinking and pondering about new positive habits that you could implement in 2021 that you would want to be part of your normal day-to-day regimen that would help you to achieve whatever goal you may have always wanted to do, but you've never done it. Brian, I was talking earlier before we hit the record button, and the fact that, goals, at least most people make resolutions. What's your resolution? And Brian was saying that he gets that question asked, when he's being interviewed. And Brian, do you ever really give him a real answer for the resolution? New
I
Year's
never have
resolution?
one. I'm never prepared for that question. So I always have to just come up with something, and it's usually something goofy, like like a mountain of cash or something like that.
You want what's the uh the the magazine that does the sweepstakes? You want Eggman Man knocking on your door, giving you the big $1 million check.
Well, yeah, except I don't enter contests, so that'll never happen. I just need a couple 55-gallon barrels full of cash, like what was that, Breaking Bad?
That's it. Just 255 gallons filled with green $100, nice, crisp, brand new, printed $100 bills.
Yeah, yeah. But that's not a resolution, is it?
No,
That's
that's a
just a wish.
wish. That's
Yeah.
a wish. Well, you bring up a great point. So most people make a resolution. Um, the biggest thing is lose weight, and that's probably the number one thing that I think is the number one.
Well, yeah. There's the other one is get sober.
Okay,
Like AA meetings, they're like right after the New Year's, they like double in size. A lot of
because
it's
everybody's trying to start new, right?
either that or they're there on a court card because of a drunk driving arrest.
Yeah, that's not good either. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about these real issues, because I really think that we look at things. I think it's really perspective on how we look at things, even the questions and traditions of making a New Year's resolution, because that's what everybody asks you. What's your New Year's resolution? And the reality of it is, when people do not, let's just use weight loss, for example. I know when people go, I'm going to go to the gym, they sign up for a gym membership. They start going the first week, and then for whatever reason, they missed the second week because they had to go in early to work for a meeting, and then they kind of like, I got other stuff. Then all of a sudden, what they had as a goal kind of fades by the wayside because they've stopped doing the habit that would cause them to achieve the goal.
Mhm.
So Brian and I was just going back and forth. And so the question is, why not truly look in the mirror and say, what do I want to achieve, and what do I want to achieve in my life, and what habits can I institute or implement in 2021 in my daily routine that will bring me closer to my ultimate goal that I want to get. So that way, you're incorporating positive habits into your life. And I think that's more beneficial and more realistic um, to deal with than than the whole New Year's resolution. At least that's just my opinion. I'll let Brian chime in what he believes.
No, yeah, I believe that too. Yeah, and that you just take it kind of like the AA saying, one day at a time, just each day. But you have your set thing, and you like for me, if I want to make something a habit, I have to put that in place and then build the rest of the day around that. So that's always there to begin with. Otherwise, if I just try to squeeze that in where I can fit it, then I'm more likely to let it slide, you know?
Yeah, the other thing is, I think everybody uses New Year's as really as a cop out. I mean, truly speaking, it's like, oh, I'm going to do that next year, especially during the holidays. I'm going to start my diet at the beginning of the year. Oh, I'm going to start. No, no, no. I'm going to buy this for Christmas, and I'll worry about my credit card bill next year. So everybody puts everything off next year. But Brian just said something that really just hit home with me, is that if we would just realize that every moment is a new opportunity and not push stuff off until the first of the year. And there's two benefits from that, at least two benefits. The benefit is, if you don't do what you need to do to hit your resolution, you don't just go, oh, well, I'll just wait the next year and I'll try it again. No, try it the next moment. Try it the next moment. Start trying to build those habits that will get you to the ultimate, whatever goal that is. I mean, for example, Brian's a great guitar talent, but I'm sure he just didn't wake up one morning and say, I want to be a guitar player. And then the next morning he woke up and all of a sudden he was able to play the guitar flawlessly. I'm sure it took hours of practicing your
Years,
craft.
years.
Yeah. And you have to do that, right? I mean, even you, I mean, as much as you've played the same songs and the same music over and over again, if you don't practice playing that, it's hard.
Well, the good thing about, well, for me, for example, playing guitar is I love it. So, all that practicing for me I enjoyed it. And I was, when I was younger, I was obsessed with it. So that was just my focus of everything. So I didn't have to force myself to do it.
No, and most people who I know who are musicians, and the ones who are passionate about the music, I know how many hours they put in daily, and it's therapy, but there's like something they're trying to obtain, and only they know when they've obtained it. They when they play that perfect note, when they play that perfect song the way they have it in their head, that they can play it. And when they do that, it just, I know I got some really close friends, and that really touches them at a spiritual level. Um, can
Yeah,
you relate
there's
to that, Brian?
yeah, there's something about that. It's like that. Well, it's weird. There's different phases, especially as a musician. There were different phases that I went through. Like the initial phase, like the first starting out struggling, trying to learn how to do it, and then there was that moment where it's like when you first learn to ride a bike, and it's just like this bolt of lightning, and all of a sudden it's like boom, oh, like everything falls into place, and you know how to do it finally. And I had that moment, and then later there's the little moments along the way, like you're talking about, where say you're working on a new song or something, and finally that falls into place. It's all these little things that just sort of fall into place by doing the practice. It's the practice, and that the practice um, uh, strategy or whatever you want to call it, that works with anything that you're doing. Like
Yeah.
it,
Focus intentions brings results. Focus intentions brings
and
miracles.
in repetition. You just keep doing it and doing it, and you sometimes you feel like you're hitting a wall, and you just keep doing it, and before you know it, you break through that wall, and it's just like, oh, there it is.
And Brian, what age did you start pick what age did you pick up the guitar?
Well, uh, I wanted to start playing at 6, but I didn't pick up. I didn't start learning till I was 8, around 8 years old. And I didn't. I got my first guitar for my, was it 10th birthday or ninth birthday? ninth birthday, something like that. I'm losing track of time, but it was still a long, slow process. You know, I learned a few chords offhand and then just played the same stuff for like a year or two before I advanced past that. And I was not like one of those natural players. And this was, you know, this is late 60s, early 70s. So, you know, there was no internet, there's none of that. You had to just take a vinyl album and the needle and just keep putting it back. Just play a couple lines and put it back and then try to find it on the guitar. And that's how I learned how to play.
That's pretty cool. As a matter of fact, Peggy and I watched a lot of movies over the holidays, and almost every movie, which movies were made in 2020 and 2019, they always had they were playing vinyl in all the movie scenes. Like vinyl's really made a comeback with playing that needle and hearing that static and I truly miss it. As a matter of fact, I told Peggy I wanted to pick us up a turntable or phonograph, whatever you call them these days, because but all my vinyl got ruined in a flood at our house years ago. I lost them all. I mean,
I think you told me about that.
yeah. So it's just, all my vinyl is just all ruined. So I don't have it anymore. But I do like, I can understand why vinyl's coming back, because there's just something about holding that album cover in your hand. And I remember, people who are born with have no idea what we're talking about. To me, it was a total spiritual immersion to go by like Pink Floyd The Wall and come home and put that vinyl on and play it and look at the notes and study the album cover and read what the lyrics that Roger and it's just there's just something that was like total immersion and you kind of lose that in the CD because truthfully my eyes are so bad I can't read that fine print that's on a CD thing. So I one of the reasons I like going back to big vinyl is because the print's bigger and I can read it easier.
Yeah,
But
well, the artwork looks so much better on a big vinyl album cover.
yeah, I mean, it's just there's just so much that went into it. Like the Beatles album covers, just to study the photographs they used, and there's just so much symbolic messaging, and I miss that. I think that's kind of one of the things that MTV exploded, because they were able to take those images that you have in your head when you're just listening to the radio or to a song, and then they were translated, and all of a sudden music became video, and people could really relate to that. And then that just shut off, and now it's YouTube, because does MTV even play music videos anymore?
I don't think so. I think it's all game shows and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I could even recognize MTV from the days of you know um they used to have their top 10, and then the heavy metal on Saturday nights at midnight, or
Oh yeah,
uh
yeah. Well, they had what is it, Metal Mania, and what was the other one? The one we hosted, Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball. That's it. Yeah, the guy I went to school with was Adam. I went to school. Remember, him and I were DJs in West Virginia together. I was really surprised to see him on there when he was a video
Adam
jockey.
Adam Curry.
Yeah, Adam Curry, because he was, to know him in West Virginia and to see him in New York City wearing a black leather jacket just cracked me up. So,
Yeah,
but
we did a few interviews with him.
yeah, yeah, there was a lot happening back in the day at MTV, but I think that a lot of the draw to MTV early on was because people could see the music that they were listening to, and it was giving them a visual, and a lot of bands exploded. I mean, you guys really got a lot of airplay during that time, and people
Yeah,
started to realize who you were.
I mean before that you had like Midnight Special and Don Kirshner's rock concert, but it was only like once a week, and you'd only see a few different bands, and it was like other than that, you'd see pictures in the rock magazines, and occasionally they'd be on a talk show, or like the Stones would always put a. They used to make videos back in the '70s because they wouldn't do actual live appearances. After a while, they just sent in a video to these TV shows. But so they were kind of the forerunners to the video thing, and then when MTV came around, it was like 24 hours a day. You could just watch different bands, and like every time a band put a record out, they had a video, and you could see them, and yeah, it changed everything. It was
It
cool.
it truly did. I mean, I was in high school. It was awesome. I mean, I was in high school. I graduated in '82. So, but I remember getting home and with cable just hit our neighborhood. So we had MTV channel, and they used to do the top 20 every day or whatever, the top 20 videos. And you call in to the vote for your favorite video.
Oh, the
And
request line.
yeah, the request line. And then, just like the cassette decks, then you started recording your favorite videos on VHS tapes or beta tapes. You started recording your favorite videos, and you started watching your videos over and over again. And it was
Yeah,
just a
I
different,
used to do that.
yeah. Someone posted on Facebook, what does a cassette and a pencil have in common? If you know what those two have in common, the
Now the
punch out,
rewind.
they use the eraser to wind it, and also use the tip to punch out the tab, so you couldn't re-record over the cassette
Oh,
tape.
right. Yeah, yeah. I forgot about the tab. But we used to
Yeah.
take, we get promo cassettes all the time from really, stuff that we didn't even want to listen to. So I would just take them and put tape over those little holes and then record over them.
Yeah. I remember listening to the DC 101, and you're trying to find or Wava back then. It was those two stations back and forth in 98 Rock to listen to find your favorite song. So you record your favorite song. So when you went on a road trip, you could play your favorite new tune that just came out. Because a lot of times songs would come out and they weren't even, you could even pick them up at the, gosh, what the stores back? Oh, Waxy Maxi. I still only stored Waxy Maxi and Penguin. Was it Penguin Feathers? What's the one? I'm probably
Something like
butchering it
that.
up. Yeah.
I
I remember
remember
Waxy
Waxy
Maxi.
Maxi. They had one of those in Hagerstown.
Yeah, I remember. Uh, as a matter of fact, I remember the one in Woodbridge. Well, I'm really getting off track here, but anyway, I remember going to the Waxy Maxi in Woodbridge when you guys had just released the your first debut album, Kix. And I remember going in, and they were putting posters on the wall, and the guys, and they were cranking you guys up, and I go, who's this? And he goes, man, this is a local band. And he handed me, he's like, you got to buy this album. And then he goes, you like AC/DC? I said, I love AC/DC. And he handed me well, you got to get this album. And the Itch, that was it. I bought that album, and I thought every album on it was good. And so, but that was back in, when that was like 79 or 80. When was that out?
81.
81. Wow. Yeah. I remember I was in high school. I remember walking in that Waxy Max in Marumsco Plaza in Woodbridge, Virginia. And the guy was putting posters up. And now here we are in 2021. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of things happen. So let's kind of use what we just been digressing from. And the reality of it is, history does progress. Someone just didn't wake up back in 1979 and say, hey, let's develop a CD or a DVD that we could put music on. And no, it progressed. But no matter what the um, mode of the venue or the transportation of music, how you're going to hear it, the mode in which you're going to hear music, nothing changes in regards to the musicians themselves. They still have to know how to play an instrument, know how to sing, and got to have somebody who knows how to record, knows how to put it together and lay it down, and to be able to get the end product so you can hear it whenever you feel like hearing it. Same thing goes in your life. Let's just say you want to be better financially, you want to be better health wise. Then what you really need to do is lay out some goals of what you want to get to, but don't really worry about those goals. Do some research of what habits could help you reach those goals, and work on your habits. Make the habits a daily or a weekly, and hold yourself accountable. Look in the mirror once a week, or before you go to bed at night, and just look in the mirror and say, hey, how did I do today on my keto carnivore lifestyle? How did I do? and be honest with yourself. Look, it's just you. I mean, just don't beat yourself up. Just listen to what yourself said, and then go, okay, tomorrow we're going to do better. Tomorrow we're going to do better. I can have that cup of coffee without the sugar in it, or whatever it is that you kind of tripped up on the day before. Give yourself a pep talk at that night. Say, tomorrow morning when I get up, we're going to do this thing, and then celebrate that day. So, pat yourself on the back. Those kinds of habits, like Brian, you work out what, five times, four or five times a week?
Something like that on a good week.
Okay, okay, all right. So he works out one time a week, everybody, once a month. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty good at it. It's this past month though, I was doing some extracurricular activities where I had to get up early and go take off, and I had to so it was like every other day kind of thing instead of I in fact I do take more rest days now than I used to. I used to just go straight through, and it's like after a while I was like felt like I've been run over and never gave my body time to recover. So now
Yeah.
I'll do like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think, and you knew that by experiencing working out every day. So you're like, whoa, I got to dial it back some. My body's telling me I need some more rest and recuperation time.
Yeah.
So listen. See, that there's another reason why, if you take accountability on a uh, daily time schedule, that you hold yourself accountable daily and listen to yourself, then every day you'll tune in better for yourself. Is what I'm saying is. So um,
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like with eating habits, um, you know, like the way that I eat, and the carnivore thing, where I've cut out all the extra junk. Um, it fine tunes sort of your body's awareness. Like I'm aware now when I eat something that doesn't work, and it's the same like with working out. I finally came to the conclusion that I needed those days off. And sometimes I don't take a full day off. Even an off day, I may go jump rope for 10, 15 minutes or something just to get my heart going. But
right.
it won't be a full weights and all that junk. But yeah, and it's it's like the healthier, like from my own personal perspective, the healthier I get, whether it's my eating habits or my physical working out thing, the more in tune I become with my body, and my body, I can tell what my body is telling me. you know.
Yeah. No, that makes perfectly good sense. And I think, we've talked about this many times, that you are your best physician. You also are your best cheerleader. You're also your best doctor. I mean, you have to listen to what your body's telling you. Um, and it's very important that you start to here's what you have to do. You have to slow down enough to be able to hear that voice, that small voice that's saying, hey, look, I really can't go every day. Let's give myself a break so we can recuperate. And or hey, listen, every time I add cream to my coffee in the morning, my half and half to my coffee, I start to feel bloated. I get indigestion. I get a headache, whatever it may be. But stay in tune with yourself, and you say, what, tomorrow I'm going to try it without the half and half. And then you go, oh, I feel pretty good. Then you can create that new habit. You don't have to wait till next year to do it. You can start doing it the next day, and that's a positive habit. And one of the things that I know I have found out for myself, what I used to be able to do in my 20s and my 30s and my 40s, I can't do in my 50s. And I mean, things change. It's just like, wine tastes is different during different types of different seasons and different temperatures. Well, so is the stages of life. Certain foods don't react the way they did back when you were in your 20s. For example, I know peanut butter, nuts in whole, my stomach feels bloated after I have them. So those are things that I have to be conscious and aware of. Doesn't mean I don't still eat them, because I still do. I just can't eat them at the level and at the pace that I used to in my 20s.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big difference.
Oh, here's something I discovered. Uh, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but I was having these headaches, and it went on for like a couple months, just this dull, like I'd wake up with it, and I couldn't figure out what was causing it. And I was on Instagram. I follow a bunch of food people and fitness people, and there was this girl that has this. She has this podcast, and she was talking about salt, how she had to back off of the salt because it was causing problems. And I thought, because when I first started the carnivore thing, I couldn't get enough salt. I bought the Redmond real salt, those
Right.
whatever those crystals, and I'd suck on them, and it was great. And then and I would add it to my water. Then after a while, I started like I just didn't feel it anymore. Like putting it in my water just didn't quite do it anymore. And and then I was having these headaches, and I realized, every time I get a glass of water, I put the electrolytes in there, and I was like, maybe I'm overdoing it. So
Right.
I completely backed off. I mean, I use a little salt here and there, like on my steak or something, but I don't like douse it. And so this past week, I've cut back on the salt, and I haven't had any headaches.
See, well, that's a perfect example of, listening to your body and changing it up and learning, hey, that change is working for me.
Yeah, and it was weird because I didn't know what was causing it, but I just happened to hear somebody else mention, and I thought maybe I should try that. And it turned out that that's what it was. I wouldn't. It was funny because I wouldn't have guessed that's what it was.
Right. Well, listen, that's awesome. I know my keto chow just came in today. My doctor Barry's keto chow, because that salt, that whole package there, that shot of that is just gut turning. Um, I mean, I take it every day in my coffee, and it brings out
Oh,
the chocolate.
the daily minerals, you mean?
Yeah, the daily minerals. Yeah, that it's just if I take it just a shot of it by itself, my stomach starts to do somersaults.
Oh yeah, and I always dilute. I used to put it in a big glass of water. But yeah, I haven't even been taking that the last few days. I backed off on all that stuff. I'm gonna start back in like just like occasionally. Now, now that like I got the daily minerals, and then also the Relight. They got the unflavored back, and I bought one of those. So I got all these electrolytes in my cabinet back there, and it's like, oh no, I can't do those right now. So, but I see it seems to be working, and I mean, I'm trying to think of when the last time I took any of that stuff. I don't know, but this week's been good so far. So
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad you were able to isolate it and identify what your culprit was, and I would never have suspected too much salt, but I mean, it makes sense because I know there's probably enough salt in your daily cooking as well. Talking about cooking, I just brought that up. I saw your video on your pork belly.
yeah,
That looked really really good.
it is. In fact, yeah, I still got a. Well, it was huge. That thing was huge, and it didn't even shrink much. Like I was having trouble fitting it on the pan. I didn't like trying to wrap it because my wrapping paper is only like this wide, and that thing was this wide. It was like, how am I gonna wrap it?
Did you have to go lengthwise and do two sheets
Yeah, I
or
had to go. Well, I went this way and that way. I went both ways, so I wrapped it this way and then fold the sides in. And then I had to wrap it in foil after that because I couldn't get it to stay. So I double wrapped it. But man, did it turn out, man, and there was so much the grease. It was like trying to handle that grease after I took it out of the wrap. It was like well, I showed it on the video. It was like
yeah,
a
it all pulled up.
pond of grease. And I was trying to figure out how I'm going to get it from the paper like into a container. And I ended up, it ended up spilling all over the counter, and just trying to manipulate all that grease. It was like crazy, but I got a bunch of it. I got like 2 containers in the refrigerator.
I
That stuff's good.
Yeah, that stuff is good. I was at Costco today and I thought about picking one of them up, but we're heading out of town tomorrow, so I said, "No, I'm not gonna be back till Monday, so I'll just hold off." I
This,
did
this
I what's that?
oh, I was going to say this one came from Tennessee grass-fed farm.
That was a big one. I know that you showed that was that was a big baby.
Yeah, I know it because I've gotten them before, like ordered them online like that, and they've been like half that size or if that. But that one, like when it came, it was like, wow, this is huge. It's like as big as a brisket.
Yeah, that one probably would even fit on my Traeger. I mean, that would look pretty big. I did do Korean short ribs, barbecue short ribs last night, which they came out great. I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that.
the keto recipe, and then I did my buddy Steve. I opened up his ribeyes from Kansas City and smoked them today, and they were really good. So
So are those grass-fed?
you know what? I would think they probably are, but I didn't even read the box.
Uh, well,
I
as
did
long
not
as they're
read.
good.
They were good. They were good. They were, they weren't the thick ones. They were thin, but they were very marbled and they was very tender. So
That's all I, that's what matters, that tenderness.
meat is meat, and as long as it wasn't medium, I mean, well done, it was good, and it was medium rare. It was perfect. It turned out really well. So thanks again there, Steve, for that gift. Um, Talking about, tomorrow is I mean, today's New Year's, but in most of the country, I don't think, at least here in Virginia, I don't know how it is in Tennessee, but in Virginia, you can't have bars open after 10 o'clock. So there's no place that people can go to and normally do the normal, toast in the new year, uh, because everything's shut down. Do you know what the rules are in Tennessee, Brian?
Nah, I wouldn't be going out anyway. Like last year, I was here. I just went out on my back porch for a little bit and listened to the gunshots in the neighborhood and the
Not
fireworks.
fireworks, gunshots. It sounds like my neighborhood. That's what you hear, cannons going off and all types of artillery
Yeah,
uh, let loose around here. It's the sound of freedom, is what Peggy and I say. Yeah, we're surrounded by people who love their freedom. So let them shoot and celebrate.
yeah, yeah. On New Year's Eve, you don't get to see any wildlife. It's all they're all hiding somewhere.
How's your? I haven't seen our deer lately. Have you seen your? Has your deer been out in your backyard?
I saw one yesterday. I tried to get a picture, but I didn't have my phone. My phone was in the other room. I'm sitting here at this table. I have a in my kitchen here, and the window's right here. And I saw this big buck just walking through my yard, and I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta get a picture of that." And by the time I got back to the window with my phone, it had jumped the fence, and it was out in the weeds, so I couldn't get a good shot of him.
Yep, I haven't seen our deer. Peggy always worries about them. We have a herd of about 4 or 5, and they did show up last week. Every morning we get up and she's looking for them, and they did show up last week. So they did make appearance last week. So it was great to see
Yeah,
their visit.
I haven't been seeing the ones that have been hanging around. I haven't been seeing them, but they must come around because I throw apples out there and the apples get eaten. So I guess they come when I'm not looking.
Yeah. Although I mean, I know it's still hunting season, so I know our deer are very stealth mode. So I don't know how they get the smarts to stay away and survive, but they do somehow.
Yeah,
So, so you're just staying home. Are you cooking anything special for New Year's Day, Brian?
that is a good question. I have not like figured that out yet. But yeah, because I was trying to think, should I pull something out of the freezer? But I think I'm just gonna go hit the store tomorrow and just wing it and just see what they have. Maybe grab something.
Now, did you give Smokey uh the Christmas treats of salmon, and was it salmon or tuna fish and salmon?
You know what? I bought her that stuff. I found that the tuna doesn't agree with her.
Really?
Yeah, it made her sick, so I backed off on it. But I still had it in a container in the refrigerator, and I had a can of mackerel that I used for an omelet one day. So I put the mackerel juice in that same container with the tuna, and I would spoon some juice out like during the afternoon, and she'd lick it up, and then was it yesterday morning or I forget, or no, the day before, I put some tuna with the juice in her bowl, and she ate it, and all day yesterday she was off. She was just was not. She was real quiet and just I could tell something was wrong and she didn't feel good and I started getting worried about her last night and then this morning she snapped back out of it again. I think it's the tuna. I don't think that agrees with her.
Wow. Well,
I'm gonna have to go back to the sardines. That's what she liked.
yeah, I just made up Smokey's food tonight or today, I should say. So I got to bag it still. So he's got his he's putting weight on. So I went heavy turkey, so more turkey than I did hamburger. And then of course I give him a dozen of free range eggs from Whiffletree Farm, and so he'll be all set for the next 4 days. But he is he's I guess I so have I mean during this winter I've put some extra pounds on. I haven't changed anything that I'm doing. It's just extra weight, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I
uh,
gained a few pounds for some reason. I think I mentioned that before.
yeah.
But I mean, it kind of went up, and it went up like to where I was like, "Uh-oh," and
Yeah.
then kind of settled back down a little bit. It's not down to where I used to be, but I don't know. It could be muscle mass.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Mine's definitely gone back up. I mean, it came down a little bit when it went back up, and I haven't, I'm I'm being studious in regards to, like, I've been eating within a 4 hour window, so I got 20 hours where I'm not eating.
Yeah, same here.
So I don't know what the deal is, but so is Slinky. So I don't I don't know whether or not we're eating too much beef.
I
I
don't know. I don't think you
I
can
don't
eat
know
too
what.
much.
Yeah, as I was saying that, I was like, I got to edit this out. But because I agree with you, I don't think you can eat too much meat. But Peggy was saying, maybe we're getting too much hamburger, mix more turkey. So I went heavily on the turkey today when I made his food for him. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well,
So
I was thinking also, I was having those headaches, and I'm gonna see if maybe cutting the salt out, maybe I was retaining fluid too. You know, maybe my weight will drop back off now.
that's a really good point. I remember back in my high school days playing football, the coaches back then would give you salt tablets to retain the water so you didn't sweat it all out. So yeah,
Yeah.
that very well. Yeah, but I haven't been taking any more. Well, you know what? I have. I've been taking that keto chow for every day. So maybe that along because I mean I salt everything that I have that I put in my mouth is I use
Well,
Redmond salt.
the other thing they were talking about on the podcast, there was I can't remember the girl. There are two girls. One anyway, they were going back and forth with their things, and they both came to that same conclusion about the salt. And the other thing about salt is it makes the food more palatable. So you tend to eat more, they say. Like if you minimize the salt, uh, it'll, yeah, it almost has that trigger like sugar. It makes you want to keep eating it. And
No,
if
that's I mean, look at popcorn. I mean, I don't eat popcorn anymore, but that's the whole thing. Butter and salt on the popcorn. That salt on your fingers, you just it becomes just like Lay's potato chips. That salt does become a trigger.
yeah, so that's another thing about the salting stuff. And like Dr. Barry does talk about that. Like if people always go, well, how much salt should I use? And it's like, well, if you crave it, then you should have it. And for me, I noticed that it started to get to me. Even like my steaks, sometimes I'd oversalt them and I'd be eating them and I'd be kind of gagging it down because it was really salty. So I think my body's reached the saturation point with the salt, so I need to
You're
back
becoming a
off.
human salt block.
Yeah.
When
So I'm gonna,
you got deer knocking on your door so they can lick you, you know you've had too much salt.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe that's why Smokey likes to lick me. Speaking of salt, I noticed the deer knocked this salt lick off the fence post out there. I forgot to go put it back up today. Today it was 60 degrees here. It was really nice.
Wow, you had a nice day.
Yeah. I should have put that salt lick up. Tomorrow's supposed to rain. It's
It,
supposed to
I
rain
we
all day tomorrow through into Friday.
that's I think we're supposed to get rain starting tomorrow too, and it's supposed to rain for a few days. Yeah, we had a white Christmas actually. It got cold on Christmas Day. We actually had snow. It came down. It was a magical white Christmas.
Did
So
you have
that part of it was,
how many inches?
oh, we don't get inches. We got a dusting, but it was,
Uh,
it was falling down, so, the Christmas music playing, snow's falling. It was a beautiful Bing Crosby moment.
we had the
Um,
snow the night before, and it was just a dusting, but it was still there on Christmas
yeah,
morning. I mean, you could see the grass through it, but still.
no, there's something magical about snow. I mean, you sing about White Christmas and to actually experience one where you got snow falling. It did seem magical. So we really appreciated that. Um, so, well, it is that time again, everybody. So let's, I'm going to post something on our, on the end of this that you guys can read for 2021. I won't read it to you guys, but I'll post it up on the segment of this.
You know,
But I think it,
if I had to come up with a resolution, I would say, well, the one thing I need to work on, it's I guess what is it, a defect or a shortcoming? Is procrastination.
you gonna do that tomorrow?
Work on it tomorrow? No, actually, I'll work on it when I get off the chair.
you well, it's probably in my household. It's called it's pacing myself. That's my favorite. My favorite response to anything is I'm pacing myself, and if I haven't done it, it's just I'm pacing myself. I will get to it.
Mm.
Doesn't always work well, but that's you know I don't necessarily think what I do is procrastination, although I it probably looks at from the public sometimes it's procrastination. And I guess if I had to be honest and I had to say yes or no, I'd probably say it probably is, but not for the reasons that it looks to be, you know. And this is a great segue into just starting your new habits. I mean, things will get into your way. Like for the last few days, I've having to travel all the way to Manassas to pick up supplies and get our RV set up, which I don't know was going to be that big of a headache to get all set up. But every day I need to go into the place, and it's about an hour away. So 2 hours if I just drove there and drove back. But you know, I also had other stuff I want to get done on a daily basis, and that time commute of driving there just takes you away from some of the goals you had set yourself for that day.
Hmm.
And people say, well, you've had all week to get that done. Well, I did. That's a true statement. But I had this, and this to do because project A turned into project B, C, D, E, F, G. So it looks like procrastination. And I guess, like I said, if you have to answer it, it would probably, yes, it would be, but it'd be justified procrastination.
Well, yeah, or just yeah. Sometimes you have just too much stuff on your schedule. You know.
Well, and that's the other thing. You got to block off, time for yourself too. So, Brian says he's going to work on procrastination, and I think probably for me, it's probably going to be not that different from Brian. One of the things that I want to do is I want to give myself realistic timelines and to be able to meet those timelines, and not let anything come in between me meeting that deadline, I should say.
Yeah, don't overbook yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, everybody, we hope you have enjoyed this episode, and we wish you a very, very happy 2021,
Yes.
and and may it be a prosperous one. But feel free to share this video, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, share the video, like it. Really helps us spread the word. And we got some things that we're going to be doing this year for sure, as long as the COVID doesn't. I mean, one thing that everybody's talking about is we sure hope 2020 wasn't boot camp for 2021. Let's let 2020 just be what it is, and 2021 be full of new opportunities, and let COVID be put to rest.
Yes.
So, but we're going to be doing a keto summit. We talked about it last year, but we kind of held off because of the COVID. But I think we're probably going to nail it down first week in August, somewhere's in there. It'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of deal, but we'll get the dates out to you all here real shortly so you guys can plan and book. And like I said before, it's going to be a very intimate setting and a very cool venue. And there'll be a lot of cool things that surround that event that I think you guys will want to attend. And with that said, Happy New Year, everybody. I'll let Brian close us out.
Eat your New Year's meat. Oh, January is carnivore month or whatever they call it. I forget the official name.
Is it really official? I mean, hey, just this past Wednesday was National Bacon Day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bacon.
yeah, how can I forget that? I bought a 10-pound. They had it on sale at the old country store in Culpeper for 10 pounds, $36, and that's one of my favorite. Yes, great bacon. So we'll see you next Friday, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and stay at the hospital.
Yes.